You want to say Namaste Darshako? That really stuck.
Yeah, it was my little bit of pretending to be a news anchor like you lovely people.
Have you ever wondered why it stuck? I mean, have you ever sat down to think, yeah, how did this work? Come to think of it, it is just Namaskar Darshako. There's nothing brilliant about it. Why has it worked and why has it stuck to me?
You know, I think that in today's times, authenticity is a very diminishing virtue, you know. People don't really, nothing is not curated or not manicured. And I think Namaste Darshako, whether it's the locations, whether it's the lack of hair or makeup, whether it's the lack of thought almost of what I'm going to say, I think there's just so much honesty, spontaneity, and just like direct address to my audience. You know, it's like Namaste Darshako, मैं आपको अपनी दुनिया में ले जाती हूँ अभी. You know, I think that it's very honest.
But is that relatability that you come with, and you do come with a lot of relatability? We don't see you dripped in Dior top to bottom. We don't see you pretending. We don't see you trying to be a snob. Is that something you consciously do, consciously craft, that this is not the person I want to come across as? Because you're someone who does have a royal lineage, you have a foreign degree, you have a degree from Columbia, you're a major film star, and yet there's a certain relatability that comes across every time we see you on our screens.
That's a compliment firstly, so thank you. And I think the compliment is truly to my mother. I've grown up with a single mom, and I think she's instilled very real values in me. I think that what I'm very, very cognizant of is being an actor is a part of my life. It's my job, but it doesn't really define who I am. I have a full life external to that. And I think that when you start looking at your job, your lineage, your degree as part of who you are, but not as definitive epithets, I think that that allows you to just keep it real.
When you say keep it real, what do you mean? Do you mean keep it middle class? Because anyone will look at you, Sara, and look at where you come from and say, middle class to nahi hai. She comes across as someone who's middle class, lekin
You know, ये मिडिल क्लास हिंदू मुस्लिम मैं इंडियन हूँ, मैं एक भारतीय लड़की हूँ, मुझ में भारतीय वैल्यूज हैं. बाकी तो क्या ही है, मतलब इट्स आई डोंट रियली लुक एट इट लाइक दैट. आई एम वेरी egalitarian in my thinking, and I don't want to belong to a class, a creed or anything. I think that हमारी भारतीय सभ्यता इतनी inclusive है. We have so many languages, so many religions, so many cultures, so many classes, so many castes. I don't get into that bifurcation.
You know, I was listening to an interview of Varun Dhawan, who you've done some films with, and he says Sara will not even let her mother buy 2 towels if they are expensive. Is that true?
Well, it's debatable. He's not fully wrong. I'm frugal. I think that, you know, like, I'm aware and mindful about where I spend my money. I don't enjoy spending money frivolously. But yes, of course, I think a little bit of, you know, splurging, a little bit of celebrating, if you want to, why not, you know, like I love traveling. तो मैं उसके लिए अपने पैसे सेव करती हूँ. You know, I'm not very big on, मुझे शोशा for the sake of शोशा नहीं चाहिए. अगर मुझे कुछ चीज़ अच्छी लगी, and I can afford to buy it, even if it's expensive, maybe I'll buy it. Chances I won't, but I might. But I'm not going to buy, you know, like those inelastic goods that we talk about, the luxury goods that you buy just because they are. No, I seek utility in the things.
You will not buy an Hermes bag if you like it?
I haven't as yet. My mom has, and I borrow it every now and then. I aspire to buy a Chanel bag one day. So it's not like I'm, you know, I judge people that wear brands. I think it's fine. But I think if you can pull off Zara and you're comfortable in it, that's great too.
So who manages your money? Who handles your money? What do you invest in?
So I've learned about the pie. I've learned that छोटी-छोटी चीजें अलग-अलग जगहों में you should invest. So of course one is advised. My mom handles my money entirely. Even my GPay account is linked to her. The OTPs come on her phone.
Now don't tell me you get a pocket money every month.
You get pocket money. I can't book a ticket without Mama. Can I have the OTP?
No.
So she always knows where I am. And the little bit of discrepancy in where I am, social media ने वो भी erode कर दिया. तो या तो credit card या Instagram पे पता ही चल जाता है सारा कहाँ है. But no, I think real estate, the market, gold bonds, the usual.
So your colleagues are doing all sorts of things, right, with their money. I don't know why I'm talking about money. There's so much else to talk about. But anyhow, since we've gotten started, your colleagues seem to be doing many different things. They are diversifying. Some of them are running a clothes line. Alia has a baby clothes line. Deepika has a wellness brand. There are some. Katrina Kaif has a cosmetic line. Kriti Sanon has a cosmetic line as well. Do you think about that? Do you think about diversifying? Do you think about the future?
I do. I do think about it a lot. I know that there's more for me to do. But right now, I also know that I'm not even at the tip of the iceberg as an actor. I've been given opportunities. I've tried my hand at various, genres of work. Some have worked, some haven't. Some people like some work, some don't. But I think that I have a long, long way to go as an actor. And I'm optimistic about a long journey as an actor and, God willing, a long life. And if that does happen, then yes, whether it's production, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's a certain public life, I'm definitely interested.
Public life mane kya? Politics?
Dekhte hain.
Acha. Just coming to your films, you've been in the films for 7 years now, roughly 7 years?
2018. Where are we? 25.
25. ठीक है. You had what, 5 theatrical releases, out of which 4 have been hits, including Skyforce. Where are you in terms of where your mind is? Are you in a happy space? Are you in a space where you're finally celebrating? Or are you in a phase where you're saying, oh my God, what do I do next?
I love the fact that you use the word celebrating instead of comfortable. Because if you'd asked me, am I finally comfortable? I would have said no, because one should never be comfortable. One should keep growing. But the fact that you said celebrate, I am celebrating, because I think that I forgot to do that, I'm very, very aspirational. I have a lot of dreams, a lot of ambitions, but I've been a hardworking girl my whole life. So ऐसा तो नहीं है कि complacency मुझ में आ जाएगी. But I think it's very important to celebrate each day. I think इस भाग दौड़ में, इस मुझे वहाँ पहुँचना है, मुझे वहाँ पहुँचना है, उस चक्कर में हम celebrate करना भूल जाते हैं कि हम कहाँ तक पहुँच गए हैं. 90 किलो की लड़की जो कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ती थी, वो आज एक अभिनेत्री है, आप लोगों के सामने बैठी है, आप लोगों ने मुझे किसी रीजन के लिए तो बुलाया ही होगा. So without taking myself seriously, which I don't know how to do, celebration is key. But mindful celebration, knowing that it's not हम पहुंच गए, but that base camp वाला कि यहाँ से वहाँ, वहाँ से वहाँ. So yes, the climb is on and there's a long way to go. But I've also come a long way.
Of course you have. My point is that sometimes it is our insecurity as professionals. All of us have it, right? You're an actor, you have it, you're 7 years in the profession, I've been 22 years as a journalist. I still have moments where I'm insecure, where I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm not confident of my craft. Are you now finally, quote unquote, settled in your career, completely secure in your craft, that you know what you're doing, that you're good at what you do?
I do believe I'm good at what I do. But I do believe that I will always be a student, whether I'm studying history or politics or acting. And when I say studying acting, I mean every time I'm on a movie set, I'm a director's actor. I learn, I grow, I unlearn. And I think that that's most important. I don't love the word settled when you talk vis-a-vis professionalism, because it reminds me of like, ruk gaye, Settle नहीं चाहिए, movement चाहिए, growth चाहिए, चलते रहना बहुत ज़रूरी है. But in a confident way, not in a aimless, मैं कहाँ हूँ, मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, no. मुझे पता है मैं कहाँ हूँ, मुझे पता है मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानती हूँ कि बहुत ज़्यादा करना है, बहुत ज़्यादा सीखना है, लोगों के साथ काम करना है, निर्देशकों के द्वारा बस क्राफ्ट को और जानना है और बस चलते जाना है.
You said you learn from your directors. Do you also give them your input? Say, for example, you have a character that you need to play. So they have something written for you, right? Do you come up with suggestions as well? Because I'm sure if you're playing that character, you will have a point of view on that character. Do you come and say, sir, ऐसे कर लेते हैं, वैसे कर लेते हैं, let's make her this? And are they open to listening to you?
Of course. I've been very lucky that way. I think filmmaking is a very, very collaborative effort. And at all times, you come up with suggestions, you come up with ideas. In fact, Anand Al Rai is shooting in Delhi right now. I was speaking to him just this morning. And I remember there was a time where he told me, I asked him a question and he told me in Delhi itself, many years ago, that aaj tu Rinku ke kirdar ko shayad mujhse behtar jaan gayi hai. So you don't have to ask me, tum apne dil se karo, and as a director it's my job to say less, more, no, not. But I think the impulse or the instinct to say, this is coming, you shouldn't curtail that as a human being or as an actor.
Can I just take 2 minutes to speak about your father? You as a family have gone through a lot in the last couple of months. Can I ask you when the stabbing incident took place, how you heard of it and what your first reaction was? Was it fear, because we are so protective about our parents? Was it fear or was it anger? Or was it something else?
I think I shut down. I don't remember much. I think there was a freeze impulse almost, like, I don't know what's happening. And Ibrahim and me just drove straight to the hospital. And I think that we were very lucky in the fact that from the moment that we got to the hospital to the moment that we found out it's not critical was about 15-20 minutes. So those 15-20 minutes felt like a lifetime, but I was relieved quite fast, I think.
You were in Bombay when you heard, and you and your brother then drove directly to the hospital. Your father quite literally checked himself in the hospital. He walked into the hospital.
The doctor says he walked in like a tiger or lion. I don't know. Lion.
Yeah.
So.
And when he is discharged, he walks out smiling and waving to the camera. Is that the person he is, or was it circumstances that the world is watching? More importantly, your children are watching, and at no moment can you be seen as weak. What is it?
I think it's a combination of both. I think my father, is a father of 4 children, 2 of which are very, very young and very impressionable. And of course, he didn't want to, every parent does that. Na, sab theek hai, main theek hu, sab theek hai, main theek hu. I'm not even a parent, I do it to my brother. So I think you have to kind of do that. But more than that, my father has always been a fighter. Always in life, and I really, really look up to him for his spirit to just never ever give up. And I think that that's also the nature of our job, not that that's related to this particular incident, but I think it's so fungible, like showing somebody ki main theek hu, kahin na kahin it helps you actually get theek, So he did have to show Taimur that I'm fine. He did have to show Jahangir ki sab theek hai. But he also wanted to show himself that, listen, I am fine, because he is a fighter. And he's much, much better under panic circumstances than anybody else in the family by a very large margin.
Acha.
For sure.
And who scores worst in the category? Who's the one who will panic first?
I think me. I think me. I just tend to freeze and then cry and then kya hoga. I think that happens a lot.
Sara, can I ask you how many times you've been to Kedarnath? Look at us just jumping from one subject to another. But can I ask you how many times you've been to Kedarnath?
7, 6, 7.
What drives you there? Is it some sort of personal belief? Is it any kind of faith? Is it the fact that you shot your first film there? What is it that takes you there?
I think I feel a sense of home there. I feel a sense of discovery there. When I first went to Kedarnath, I wasn't an actor. When I first went to Kedarnath, I don't know if, I studied in New York. I hadn't really been out and about in our country the amount that I had. I think it's one of the first times that I saw those mountains, saw those valleys, felt that energy, the energy in the temple, the energy just in the valley in general. And I think that I can't imagine that there was a whole life, a whole Sara, 2 decades of her without Kedarnath. Because like today, I can't imagine that. And I think it's a very humbling feeling to go home to Kedarnath. It taught me so much. There's an attachment to it that I really don't know how to explain. I discovered myself as an actor, as an adult, as a working girl, as somebody that's spiritually inclined, as somebody that likes the ekant of the mountains, I can't explain what it means to me.
And वहाँ पे तो everyone must know you because sometimes we see you making Maggie there.
They all know me. The Pandit ji knows me. I promise you, Kuldeep, Himanshu and Bhuppi are watching this and they're going to message me being like, "Kab aa rahe ho? Kapat mein khul raha hai. Kab aa rahe ho?" This is going to happen now.
But does it happen that you may be sitting somewhere and there are some pilgrims who are passing by and say, "Madam, वो वहाँ का रास्ता कहाँ है?"
Okay, I'll be honest.
I recognize you.
I promise you, usually not. Usually, like, people do recognize me in Kedarnath because a lot of people that have been there have perhaps seen the film. So I do think that there's much more recognition in Kedarnath than anywhere else in the country, firstly. So I really feel very like Mom and me were talking about it because Mom had recently gone to the Golden Temple. And she's like, I forgot, yeah, like people in Punjab really react to me. And I was like, yeah, Ma, people in Kedarnath also really react to me. So we were both sitting and talking about how people in our places react to us. But I was actually this time in a dhaba in Kedarnath and I was sitting by the ऐसा heater जैसा था और मैं हल्दी का पानी पी रही थी. And a yatri has actually asked me, "Mandir kahan hai?" And I've pointed in that general direction. And it's never happened before or after. But it did happen that one time and I truly felt like, देखा घर का रास्ता मैं बता रही हूँ इनको.
I have a business idea for you. Kedarnath Travels.
I thought so, चोपड़ा में एक lodge कर लूँ मैं.
Then how do you react to, you get a lot of love for your Kedarnath trips and the fact that you're open and that you speak your mind, etc. But there is also some hate that does come your way, especially being a Muslim going to a Hindu religious site. You get it. How do you react to it?
I was very young in school, and even when my parents were married and we used to immigrate together abroad, I used to always wonder, Amrita Singh, Saif Pataudi, Sara Sultan, Ibrahim Ali Khan, chal kya raha hai? Matlab hai kaun, hum log kya hai? So, and I remember asking my mom, what am I? And she told me, you're Indian. And I'll never forget that. And I said that earlier today. I don't look at it like that. And I don't go to Kedarnath so I get love for it. I did the movie Kedarnath so I got love for it and I'm really grateful for that love. But my personal trip to Kedarnath, with all due respect to anybody that likes it or hates it, it's not about any of you. It's about me. And I feel comfortable there. I feel peaceful there. I feel happy there.
Sara, we live in the best of times and we live in the worst of times, right? Your mother is a Sikh, your father is a Muslim.
Which I discovered at immigration because I was like, Singh Sultan, what's happening? So yes, I know this.
How do you navigate the world we live in today with your syncretic culture?
Like I said, I think that we're a secular nation. And I think that all these concepts, all these boundaries are made and manipulated by people, and I don't adhere to them. I just don't give it the ahmiyat that the other person maybe does.
But can you tune out the noise?
See, it depends. If I'm not going to pretend that I'm above trolling. But I think everything in life is relative. As an actor बताओ अगर आप बोलोगे कि आपको मेरे काम में प्रॉब्लम है, तो शायद मैं रुकूंगी, मैं सोचूंगी, मैं वो सीन फिर से देखूंगी और मैं बोलूंगी हाँ ठीक है, maybe he's like unnecessarily harsh, but okay, maybe as a point, maybe I could have done it differently. And it's food for thought. As an actor, you should be open to criticism about your work. But about my personal beliefs, whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual, whether it's my family, whether it's my friends, whether it's the way I dress, I can tune it out because it's so mine and so pure and so personal that I have to decide that that's not for you to comment on. वो कोई नहीं करेगा. It's a fool's errand to change the way other people think. I have to tune it out.
But what about your mother? Can she tune it out? She's been a single mom. She's brought you and your brother up. Parents are protective about children. उनको गुस्सा नहीं आता क्या बकवास हो रही है?
उनके लिए मुश्किल होता है
ना?
उनके लिए जरूर मुश्किल होता है और उसी वजह से मुझे दर्द होता है. When I see her, because in today's day and age, in fact yesterday I was talking about it, so I don't want to repeat myself, but maybe you haven't heard me say this yesterday, so I will. I was recently learning about this concept called parasocialism. जहाँ क्या होता है ना, you think you know somebody because they're a public figure. You see certain aspects of their personality and it becomes an almost one-sided relationship where you start feeling attached or having expectations or think that you know that human being. And in that process, what lands up happening, especially with celebrities, is whether or not there's devotion or disdain or however you see them, there is a dehumanization of them. और उस चक्कर में ना आप भूल जाते हो कि वो भी एक इंसान है. शी इज नॉट ओनली आंसरेबल टू यू कि उसके कपड़े कैसे हैं, उसका रंग कैसा है, वो कहाँ, लाइक they forget that there's actually a human being with a heart. So when you're ripping somebody apart, you forget that for you it's just a celebrity, and aapke dimag mein you're like, oh, I know her because I know her on Instagram. But you know who actually knows her is her mother. Who actually knows her is her brother. Who actually knows her are her friends and her family, that she feels so sad to see that in their eyes when you're like trolling her for random things that is none of your business. That is so painful to me, because you don't really know me. You don't know my hardships. You don't know where I come from. And I'm not here to say that मेरी जिंदगी बहुत कठिन है. नहीं, मैं नहीं बोल रही कठिन है या आसान है. मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि आप नहीं जानते क्या है, जैसे मैं नहीं जानती आपकी जिंदगी क्या है. And I just hate that my mom gets upset when she reads those things, because I want to pretend like we're above it. I think I am to a certain degree, but I know that she's not. और उन्हें दर्द होता है क्योंकि वो मेरी माँ है, और वो भी एक्टर है, मैं भी एक्टर हूँ, लेकिन माँ बेटी होती है यार.
What was it growing up with a single mother? You have said it wasn't exactly easy, that many people thought that life would have been cushy given the fact that your mother herself was a major film star. Your father, when they got married, was on his way to becoming a major film star, but it wasn't always easy. Now many people can look at that statement and say, mane tough kya tha? Aisa to nahi tha that that you didn't know where your next meal was coming from. Aisa to nahi tha that you didn't know how you'd pay your child's fee. But you've said that it wasn't as easy as people think it was. Why is that?
Because everybody has their own hardships in life. Everybody, it's not black or white, in life. And I think that that's where this envy almost comes from. There's where envy comes from? Again, I was talking about this yesterday. But invidia, means blindness. So oftentimes, you're envious of people because there's a blindness that you feel towards them. The richest people, the most good-looking people, the most famous people. You feel an envy because you glorify it without realizing the actual humanity that is behind it. Everybody comes with their hardships. For instance, I think being from an acting family, I have been scrutinized to a very large degree very early in my life. I'm not even talking about after I became an actor. I'm talking about the social media, the eyes, the eyeballs before that. I was given a lot of love, for sure, after Kedarnath and Simba, and I'm so grateful for that. But somewhere along the lines, with that love also came an answerability. There are two sides to every coin, and I don't think that, people that are judgmental about anybody's, what's the right word? Achhi cheezein, privileges, it also comes with its demerits, it comes with its hardships, and I don't want to sit here and actually explain to people what they are, because that's fodder for acha, dekha, bakwas, so I'm not going to give it to them. But the truth of the matter is that you'll never really know anybody's whole life. If you think that the richest man in the country today has no problems, or the most famous person in the country today has no problems, I would really urge you to look again, because I know both those people, and I think they might have problems. So you never know.
Sara, I hope that doesn't get you into trouble.
No, it won't, because it's true. Who doesn't have problems? Who doesn't have emotions? Yeah. Who doesn't feel? Are you trying to tell me money buys all kinds of happiness? I was reading about this, in like East Germany, where there was income equality. फिर तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी ना, सबके पैसे इक्वल थे. Why were they reporting you to the authorities? Why was one East German reporting the other East German? Because he had more books. Even though everybody's income, money was the same, you were being reported because you had more books. So you'll always find a reason to be complaining, or grass will always be greener on the other side. I am saying human emotions are soft, and I don't know if money or fame or success can equalize that.
But where do you get your reality check from? When we look at your life from the outside, chalo, you're saying that not everyone's life is perfect. I agree with you there. But look at it from the outside, right? You've been 7 years in the industry, you've had 5 theatrical releases, 4 of them or 5 of them have been super hits. You come from a filmy family where your entire family is famous. You'll probably fly business class, you'll stay in a 7-star hotel. Reality check kahan se aa raha hai?
I think that I've started recently more than ever before, and like I said before, there is of course a sense of understanding that there's a job and there's a life external to the job. There's a mother that keeps it very, very real.
Like how?
Like, we'll not go to Shankar Market to buy another dupatta because we already have 7. You know, for some, like, this was a conversation we were having today. She's with me in Delhi. I think that it's obviously the values that she's instilled in me. But I think what also actually allows me to keep it real is I've started looking at what I do a little more as an observer. You know, I do it with full intentionality.